The Kaleesh warrior and warlord General Grievous developed an incessant hatred for the Jedi upon their attacks on his colonies and the death that they had dealt to his home planet, thus choosing to accept the offer of the Sith to convert him to a cyborg. Trained in lightsaber combat by the legendary duelist Count Dooku, the leader of the Separatist droid army began to strike fear into the Jedi Order from his first battle in the catacombs on Geonosis. The algorithms in his brain allowed him to provide immediate responses to any pattern of lightsaber combat, making him difficult to defeat, except for the most esteemed Jedi Masters, and he established a vast collection of lightsabers from those he had defeated. But the cyborg was ultimately a tool for a bigger plan, and controlled by the Dark Lord of the Sith Darth Sidious, his location at the end of the war on Utapau was revealed to the Jedi, as the Sith had no use for him. Grievous believed that he was fighting for the Separatists, but the war had been engineered so that the victor would only be the Sith, and the cyborg fell at the blast of Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, without getting to witness his life's ambition of seeing the Jedi Order crumble. But what if Grievous had been force sensitive? Could he have established his own empire away from the Sith? As you'll find out, the powers of Grievous could have altered the fate of the Separatists. From the planet of Kaleesh, Dooku had just saved Grievous from a life-threatening explosion, and now aboard his ship, the FX series medical droids were trying to keep the warrior alive until he could reach the scientists on Geonosis. The Sith accessed the cryogenic hibernation capsule of Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas, and taking a syringe full of blood, the medical droids injected Grievous to keep him alive, but Dooku immediately sensed something amiss in the Force, and the ship soon began shaking as Grievous raised one of his hands and crushed the droids around him with the Force. The blood from the Jedi Master had not been supposed to give midichlorians to the cyborg, but it appeared as if his hatred for the Jedi was harnessing the blood of Sifo-Dyas. Dooku continued to cackle until they reached a laboratory on Geonosis, and there he ordered Grievous to not lash out, as the scientists implemented a geranium body and additional implants to create a monster which would soon be feared by all opponents. Dooku decided he would keep the force entity of the cyborg a secret, and keeping him away from the first battle of Geonosis for further experimentation, Dooku discovered that the cyborg had an impressive speed of learning. Grievous soon mastered all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, and gaining a basic grasp of the Force, matching those of younglings of the Jedi Temple, Dooku ordered him to strike fear into the Jedi by destroying one of their medical facilities. Unfortunately for the droid general, the Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker and his master Obi-Wan Kenobi had intercepted a transmission from the droid general, and Anakin's Shadow Squadron passed through the dangerous Kaleesh Nebula to destroy the ion cannons on his dreadnought and render the hyperdrive useless. Ordering for the droids to repair the ship before the Jedi could make a killing attack, Grievous could sense the Jedi boarding in an emergency airlock and knew they would be splitting their forces. The cyborg ignited his blades in front of Obi-Wan, with the Jedi Master intent on destroying the hyperdrive, but he soon felt the power from Grievous. Before he could reach the cyborg, he found himself being launched backwards into the walls of the ship, then losing consciousness. Following the orders of Dooku, Grievous did not kill the Jedi Master, rather dragged him away, and at the navigational computer's location, Anakin could sense his master in danger. The Jedi Knight cleared a path for Padme, C-3PO and R2-D2 to escape into the twilight, but attempting to reach his master, he saw Grievous dragging Obi-Wan into an escape pod and vanishing into hyperspace. Cutting his way back through the droids that had been abandoned, he found the docking logs that had not been erased in the chaos, and he turned the dreadnought to Geonosis. Anakin wasted no time in alerting the Jedi Council to what had happened to his master, and approaching the planet that was still scarred from their previous encounter, he equipped himself with a spacesuit and leapt onto a Vulture-class droid starfighter to the surface below. The Jedi Knight is quickly supported by Republic fleet led by Plo Koon, and they split up to try to find Obi-Wan, with the Keldor Master going to the droid factories, and Anakin entering the catacombs with Luminar and Julie. The two Jedi hear the sound of the native Geonosians growing louder and louder, until the sound of the buzzing and shrieking became unbearable, and they began to cut them to pieces, until they reached the largest chamber. Obi-Wan was being held in a force-restricting cage, surrounded by Geonosian scientists led by Poggle the Lesser, and just as a medical droid approached Obi-Wan with a large syringe, the Jedi blasted everyone in the room in separate directions, but the force of the attack caused the room to cave in. Above the Jedi, Plo Koon had just found General Grievous, and had managed to contain his initial shock at his opponent's force sensitivity to get the upper hand in their duel, but lunging for a killing strike, the ground beneath them began to shake and they dropped below the droid factory. The Keldor Master could sense the faint presence of the Jedi beneath his feet and ordered the clones to haul the rubble, hoping that they would not have been too late to save them. Above the Jedi Council member, Clone Commander Wolf guided a small group of Republic gunships, landing just outside of the droid factory's ruins. The Wolf Pack assisted in dragging the rubble with their cables, finding all 3 Jedi located in vicinity of each other, but before they could check upon the condition of Grievous, to bring him into the hands of the Republic, all of the Geonosians arrived from their underground hives and started to attack the Republic forces. The Keldor Master pulled the Jedi to safety with the Force, and as the clones repelled the attacks of the native soldiers, they scrambled back to safety. Aboard the Venator-class Star Destroyer of Plo Koon's Second Fleet, Obi-Wan, Anakin and Luminara were recovering from their wounds, but what concerned them most of all was the Force sensitivity displayed by General Grievous. The Jedi were wary that Dooku could have an entire army of such monsters, and upon their return to Coruscant, they meet to discuss with the Chancellor on how to counter the Separatist technology. Palpatine is just as surprised as the Jedi to hear of the powers of Grievous, and proposes that the Republic should divert some of their spending away from the clone army on Kamino, to create Force-sensitive cyborgs of their own, and leaving the Jedi to deliberate their decision. A furious Palpatine communicates with his apprentice. Dooku immediately knew they was in trouble, and internally scolded the failure of Grievous to leave no traces of his victims behind, so he had to try and convince Palpatine that Grievous was extremely limited in his use of the Force, despite the account of the Jedi. The Dark Lord of the Sith easily bypasses the treachery of his apprentice, and lifts him into the air before choking him, then orders him to ensure Grievous did not exceed the power that their plan required. Dooku recovered to bow to the hologram of his master, but he had no plans to obey him, and turning to the cyborg that had just bowed to his feet, he taught Grievous the powers of Force concealment, to ensure that Sidious could not sense his rise in power. Back at the Jedi Temple, the Jedi were discussing the proposal put forward by Palpatine, when Yoda realised that what Dooku had done to Grievous exceeded all known abilities of the Force. Not only had Dooku successfully manipulated midichlorians, but he had somehow acquired the blood of a Jedi, as the blood of the Sith would not be able to survive the wounds that Grievous had sustained. Once again, the Keldor Jedi Master Plo Koon is dispatched to investigate which Jedi had been utilised for their blood, but this time Obi-Wan was there to assist him. Master Kenobi takes his familiar seat in the Jedi archives, and there he searched through the Jedi database for every casualty since Dooku had been a part of the Jedi Order. Many Knights, Padawans and Initiates had not been accounted for, but the name of Jedi Master Sifo-Dyas stood out to him, having heard stories from his master Qui-Gon that Dooku and Sifo-Dyas had been inseparable before his death. The Jedi Council researched the Maverick Jedi Master and found that he had died on a mission to Felucia, but the report had been closed by the office of the previous Supreme Chancellor Finis Valorum. The former Chancellor revealed that the Jedi account of the events had been misleading, and that Sifo-Dyas had actually been on the mission to Obadiah, so the Jedi take a journey to the land of the Pike Syndicate. Outside of the fortress, Dooku is already waiting for them, having intercepted a transmission between the Jedi and their fleet, and he commends the Jedi for their efforts to track him down. Dooku offers to share the secret of Grievous' success in return for their alliance, but the Jedi refuse his offer, so Dooku orders for the droids to surround the Jedi. Several droid battalions drop from the skies, whilst Dooku retreated to the comfort of his ship, and Grievous emerged from another. The cyborg had improved his Force abilities in the short period of time since his last encounter with the Jedi, and tried to choke them before they could move towards him, but they deflected the Force attack and retreated back into the palace. Members of the Pike stepped out to confront the droids, and using this to their advantage, the Jedi jumped back to their ships to head to their home planet, now aware that Dooku had used Sifo-Dyas to enhance Grievous. The Jedi used the recently deceased Jedi Master Order Essence to test if it was possible to manipulate midichlorians, aware that a new type of clone war had just begun. Tasking Jedi Council member Shak-Ti with leading the development of the new army, she takes a crate full of Jedi blood to Kamino to use on the clone cadets. The resident security forces are placed on high alert as the Jedi Master lands on the exterior of the facility and entered into the security room. Alongside several Kaminoans, they detected numerous Separatist ships descending through the clouds, and Master T ran to give the blood to the scientists. Sending a transmission to the Jedi Council, Obi-Wan and Anakin are on their way, but the attack led by Asajj Ventress had to be taken care of. The station clones defend the perimeter as the Jedi Master locks lightsabers with the Night Sister, and Ventress is actually there to pass on a message from her master that Dooku knew what the Jedi were up to. The droids had already infiltrated the facility, and the Kaminoans have been forced to abandon their experiment on the clones to escape, leaving Grievous to take the Jedi blood for himself. But attempting to leave in his starfighter, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi blocked his path, and he relinquished the grip on his crate. Igniting his blades, he lifted a broken Magna Guard into the torso of the Jedi Master, and Obi-Wan is pushed back to the edge of the cliff face. Grievous is about to move in to kill him, when an air whale swoops up and takes the Jedi Master away to the Republic fleet, where it was revealed that the attack on Kamino had merely been a distraction, and the actual target had been Coruscant. Palpatine had given his apprentice the coordinates to bypass the Republic territory, sensing that the Republic would not be able to arrive at a solution in time to counter Grievous, and he planned to eliminate the threat once they'd returned. Summoning Grievous to Coruscant, he had no use for Ventress, deeming her to be too powerful for his plan as well. But what he failed to count upon was a reaction to being betrayed. The Dathomirian had been escaping from the attacks of Shaak Ti when the transmission of Dooku appeared, declaring that her time as his apprentice was over, a message that was heard by the clones and Jedi around her. Immediately set on vengeance, she lifted those around her with the Force, until Captain Rex emerged from the shadows to stun her. Later awakening in the confines of a cell on board a Republic ship, the Night Sister is interrogated by Anakin, and she revealed that Dooku had been growing further apart from his Master Chancellor Palpatine. The Jedi are stunned into silence by the revelation, scarcely believing that the real threat had been under their noses, and order those on Coruscant to surround the office building and wait for any of the Separatists to make their move. Windu had agreed with the plan by the Jedi fleet, and using a pair of macro binoculars to look at the Chancellor's office, he is surprised to see Grievous swinging on a cable, with Dooku in close proximity, and they shatter the window to Palpatine's office. The Sith Lord had sensed the attack and rolled over his desk, and projected a lightning attack at the traitors, but to his surprise, Grievous and Dooku combined to block the assault with their hands. Palpatine expected the Jedi to arrive to save him at any moment, but on top of the opposing building, the clone troopers were able to identify that Palpatine was not a victim, rather the instigator of the duel. As the blurs of light started to cloud their view of the battle, Dooku suddenly fell out of the window on fire, and the Jedi knew it was time to intervene. Windu and Yoda led the attack on Palpatine, aware that Grievous was also attacking them, and they continued to be frustrated in their attempts to defeat him. The Jedi are soon supported by Anakin and Obi-Wan, both of whom anger Grievous, and the Jedi are able to separate their opponents, firstly striking down Palpatine. In a break in Grievous's duel, the cyborg backed off and deactivated his blades, asking the Jedi to leave his home planet alone, in return for his promise to not cause chaos across the galaxy. The Jedi are taken aback by his proposal, but choose to accept the offer, and Grievous leapt out onto his ship, leaving the Jedi to try and deal with the situation in the Senate. Voting between several Republic senators for the role of Supreme Chancellor, the Separatists have been condemned as a corrupt ally to Palpatine, with their financial infidelities exposed. But for Grievous, he finally had found some peace on the planet of Kaleesh. That is it for What If General Grievous was Force sensitive. If you enjoyed this What If, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment about what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.